Tom, you've been one of our country's most enduring and trusted newsmen for decades now. And even though you're retired, you're still out there doing stories now and then and commentary, and you're fully aware of what's going on in the world now. All these countries with their trillion-dollar debts and our social and economic systems on the verge of collapse. And you know the reason for it. Most people in this country don't know, and I'll bet a majority in our government, our politicians, don't really understand the cause of this financial crisis. But you do. You know the central banks of the world, including our Federal Reserve, are at the root of it. And this goes way beyond the rhetoric we hear about auditing the Fed. Let's see their books, their accounting. No, deeper than that, way down there where it's dark. Down to the roots, where that devious fractional reserve Ponzi scheme dwells, creating money by making debts, other people's debts, countries' debts, just creating billions out of thin air and loaning it to governments with interest. Interest? Why? They're just typing numbers in a computer now, and that interest money isn't included in the money that's created for the loan. It doesn't exist in the money supply, right? Which guarantees bankruptcies for people and businesses and countries. Yeah, our government could be making our money, loaning it to us without interest. We don't need to be prisoners of the banking cartel, but you know the whole story behind that too, right? How we get tricked and bribed into playing their game, like in 1913 when they rammed through that Federal Reserve Act on Christmas Eve when everyone in Congress had gone home for the holiday.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
So we have guaranteed bankruptcies from the people at the bottom and the transference of wealth to those at the top. That's how the game's played. You know this, and you can see how these fictional debts are doing real damage, tearing apart our societies, causing a tremendous amount of suffering, which is needless because it's just a game that we're playing, you know? A made-up game that is completely out of step now with our present reality and basic common sense. Yeah, you know this. And I realize that the subject is taboo, off limits. Yes, I do understand that the inner workings of the central banking cartel is something which those in the corporate media dare not speak, or they'd lose their jobs. But you're retired, and you're still one of those trusted journalists who has a voice that can be heard. So the next time you're on network television with your commentary, you could just come right out and say, this social and economic system is now obsolete. These central banks with their fractional reserve scams and our monetary systems with the built-in corruption and greed and the perpetual growth economy that's unsustainable. We can't do this anymore. It's history. Okay, it might be the last thing you say. I don't mean in the Corleone way, you know, like, oh, there might be a surprise in your spaghetti.
Oh.
No, I just mean that you might not be invited back on corporate-sponsored television, but hey, that's okay. And of course, they try to make it seem like you've lost your mind. Oh, Tom's making crazy talk again. Dementia is setting in. Just nod and smile at Tom when he talks like that. That's why you have to do it soon, because you are getting up there. But you're still sharp now, you're still making sense, and you will be for a while longer. You've got some time, but we might not have a lot more time, so you have to do it now. Look, Tom, it was you who wrote that book, The Greatest Generation, about our parents and grandparents who lived and fought through World War II. But if we could manage to escape from this outdated, destructive system, if we could remove this monetary cancer that's causing all these problems and make the transition into a new system where the goal is to conserve rather than consume and meet our environmental challenges along with the needs of our people, then we could be the next greatest generation. Yeah. That is if you think we're capable anymore of doing something great. Because if we just sit on our hands and let this suicidal monopoly game drive us off the cliff, then we'll be the opposite of that. Yeah. Yes, down throughout history, they would forever be known as the dumbest generation. So now's the time. It'd be the most amazing thing you ever did. The greatest story of your career. You'd be in the history books right up there with Jefferson and the rest. Thomas Jefferson, Tom Brokaw, the men who made this country great. Yeah, that's what we want to hear, right? We don't want to hear the historian saying things like, he was a part of the first generation in the history of mankind with access to a global communication network which could have united the people of the world against the tyranny of the monetary warlords and their inhumane system of debt slavery. He had a voice that could be heard, and he understood what needed to be said. And yet, he chose to remain silent. No, we don't want to hear that. Especially when we could be the greatest.